Good morning, everyone. My name is Rahul, and this session we will start for day 4 session. And am I audible? Please write in the chat whether I'm audible or not. And
Yes,
the Lohit hostel has internet. Lohit hostel has internet issue. That's why we just waited for 5 to 6 minutes, and it is still not there. So I'm using mobile internet. And we will start now with our session 4, that is data manipulation, day 4, data manipulation using pandas. And this session, the spelling is wrong here again. So this session we will resume with session 11, 12, 13 and 14 for this day. And this session is about introduction to pandas. Then next session will be data manipulation using pandas. Session 13 will be joining data sets using pandas, when we will join multiple data sets. And 14th session will be exception handling and error handling in Python.
this would be one of the important session in terms of data analysis. So please be with us. And even if you don't understand something, we will support you through the doubt session. After the today's session, we will keep an half an hour doubt session after every 2 session. And moreover, we will also support you through the Meet link, the doubt session and the technical doubts. So we will try to solve your all your doubts at your best. But if you have not practiced the day 3 and day 2, you will get most of it, but you might not be confident in changing the things. Hello, is it not clear? Okay, so just be with us. So you will get most of the syntax things. Some if you are not getting something, then please wait for the doubt session. And also go in your home and practice the IPNV file and paste write your doubts in the Teams links. So you will be supported in all the way we could throughout the week and even after the completion of this course.
Okay, now we will resume our first session for introduction to pandas. And before we will move to the pandas and how to manipulate the data, first we need to understand what type of data we need and how to handle the data using pandas and how pandas handle the data actually. So there are two types of data you will get. One is called structured data, that is readily available in format, like we do use for research, like a tabular format like Excel. We know about Excel, and that is a structured data form where we will put all the data in rows and columns, and then we'll do the data analysis. And most of the cases, we need a structured data for our research work. And this data comes from various sources. It could be a sensor measurement like IoT data, information, Internet of Things data, then events data like event could be a particular accident over a time, or say you are doing a randomized trial in bioscience and you want to know when something died or something lived. Then text data like Twitter data, Facebook, and all social networks data that we type and we share. Then image related data, like it is useful for computer visions and machine learning applications. And video data, we also know, like we also watch YouTube, so video data is also useful. And these are the major sources of data that we usually get. We need to do some computation or analysis. So when talking about data types, so for data science work, that when we do for scientific computing, we need a special type of data types that are required for doing some computations, or like for analysis or getting some information or plotting the data. So the data could be mainly, the data types are two types in numeric. It could be divided in numeric and categorical. And this numeric data further can be categorized into continuous and discrete. And the categorical data, or sometimes also called qualitative data, is also can be categorized into two categories. One is called nominal and another called ordinal. So we will see how what these data types actually are. Like for numeric data type, the numeric data type expressed as a numeric scale, and it can take any value in between if it is a continuous data, and if it is an interval data, then it is a discrete type. And this numeric data type also two types. It can be divided into two types. One is called continuous data. That can take any value in interval, like for say weight. Your weight could be in kg, then grams, or your height could be in centimeter, millimeter, or even lower scale. And like vehicle speed, it could be 65 kilometer per hour or 65.55 kilometer per hour, like that. And the discrete data, another numeric type of data that take only integer values. Okay, for example, counts, like how many students are there in a class. And categorical data is a one type of qualitative data, and that takes specific type of categories or a small set of categories. It is also known as factor or nominal data, and it could be also multinomial. So basically, there are two types. One is called binary, a special case of categorical data that takes two categories. Like for yes, no condition, accident happens or not happen, someone live or die. That kind of binary known as binary data. And another, and it has no specific order actually. If you put a instead of yes, if you put no in fast, then it doesn't make any difference actually. And another type of data is my voice is I'm audible. Please write in the chat. Am I audible? Please, someone write in the chat.
So it's breaking sometime.
Okay, so then I would be slow little bit because Lohit hostel. Okay, now internet has been resumed. Okay, so just give me 1 minute. I will connect to the Lohit hostel internet because I'm using mobile phone internet. That's why it might have been disrupted actually. मैं ये कर दिया ठीक है आप कनेक्ट कर दीजिए आ जाएगा Am I audible now? Now I have connected to the Lohit internet. I hope it is now clear. Okay, now it is okay. So, for categorical data, we have binary data, and also it could be ordinal data. And binary also could also known as nominal because it doesn't have any order. Like if you put yes, then no, or if you put no, then yes, it doesn't matter actually. Okay, so it could be another type like ordinal when a categorical data has specific order. Like when you ask survey questions, how likely you like something, more likely, less likely, it has specific order. Or sometimes we put age into categories like less than 18, 18 to 29, 30 to 45, 46 to 60, or greater than 60. So it has a specific explicit ordering actually. So for example, the continuous data that is a numerical data type, this numerical data type, the continuous data examples could be like the amount of time required to complete a project, the height of a children, the amount of time it takes to sell shoes in a department on a departmental store or in a store, the amount of rain in inches that falls in a storm, the square footage of a 2-bedroom house, the weight of truck. It can take any in between values also. The weight of the truck, then it's the speed of the car. It could be 100 kilometer per hour, then 150.5 kilometer per hour. So it can also take the decimal values. So time to wake up, it could be also a continuous data. Coming to the discrete data, that takes only integer values and it doesn't take actually in between values. So it should be a integer one. And the number, the example would be the number of students in a class, it is a count. The number of workers in a company, the number of parts damaged during a transportation, like transportation by Flipkart. Shoe size, it should be a 10, 8, 7, 6 like this. number of languages an individual speaks, the number of fours in a cricket game, the number of test questions you answered correctly, then instruments in a self, the number of siblings a randomly selected individual has, the number of cars owned by the household. That could be a 1, 2, 3, 4. It is a whole number. So next, discrete data. Next is categorical data. Sorry. The examples of categorical data, we know like it can't be actually measured in a scale, but we can code it. Like for example, gender. In our data sets, we usually code like gender 0 and female 1, like male 0 and female 1. Then age group. Age group, like we can also categorize into less than 18 years, 18 to 45, 46 to 60, and greater than 60. And it has explicit ordering, like increasing order. So it is the ordered category. Then hair color. Then survey on a topic. Do you have children? Yes or no questions. Then educational level, like a bachelor degree, master degree, doctoral degree, etc. Authenticity. Then employment status, self-employed, homemaker, student, retired, etc. Blood group, that also don't have an explicit order, but it is in a multinomial data. If you have, it has more than 2 categories, like group A, group B, group AB or group O. Then home country, the country name. Yes, cricket is not continuous data. Examples, continuous data. It is a discrete data actually. The number of fours, because it is a count. Okay, you can't say that Sachin has scored 4.5 fours or 5.56s. So it is a discrete data. It is just a count. Say in a total match, Sachin has scored 10 fours or 2 sixes. Okay. I think it is clear now. So next, when we'll deal with data, say for research work, you have gathered your data, but how this data, if you want to use this data or you want to handle this data, how the Python will handle, or how the format should be. So that's why a standard formatting concept was actually floated, that is known as a rectangular data or tidy data. For research work, you need a rectangular data. What is mean by rectangular data, I will show in next slide. But for now, a rectangular data is a general term of 2-dimensional matrix. Okay, this is also known as tidy data. Sometimes if you have used R, then it called the tidy data. It contains the following properties. Like, say you are measuring something, like say you are measuring the corona spread, how many people have died over different countries, and you are observing for different countries different features, or say variables. So features, someone has, please mute your mic actually, Abhishek. Okay. So for variables, that is the thing we will measure for each country. Say what is the country name, the year, the cases, and the population size. Okay, and these are the different characteristics for a country. When we stack this for a tidy data or a rectangular data, the variables should be in column like this way. It is showing in variable column. Okay, and the observations means the unit that we are observing. Say here the units are the country's different metrics, and this units or observations should be in rows. I will discuss in the next slide, showing with the example. That would be difficult very much. And the observation means what we are actually measuring. Here we are measuring the country's different characteristics of the say corona spread, and this observation or country observation should be in rows. Okay. So tidy data has a property where the variables or features should be in column. The unit of measurement, here the countries, it could be a people that you want to measure something for a particular person. It should be in rows, and all the cells should contain the values. Some sort of values, or it could be missing, but the values should be in cell. So the tidy data has a concept that all features or column variables should be in column, all observations should be in rows, and all cell contains certain values. Okay. So how it look like? say, for example, here, this data, we will going to use this data throughout the today's session. So this is a data, say you are a restaurant owner, okay, and you want to measure how the groups are coming to a restaurant, how they are paying the total bill, how they are paying the tip, whether the person who is paying the tip is female or male, whether the group has any smoker, yes or no, and the day when they are arrived, whether it is a Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, like that, and whether they are arriving for dinner or lunch, and what is the group size, like with how many additional person he or she is arriving at the restaurant. So here we are measuring a particular group. Here the group or a particular group in the row actually. So first observation for a first group that arrived to the restaurant, second observation for the second group that arrived to the restaurant, third observation. So observation are in a row manner, okay, row wise. And for each group we are measuring certain quantities, like what is the total bill paid, what is the tip, what is the sex of that person who has paid the bill, or whether the group has smoker, day. This all things are characteristics that we are keeping here as a column wise, or the features, or also called the columns. Sometimes we call this the independent variable when we do some modeling. So these are the characteristics that we are going to measure for each person, the persons or the groups in a particular row, and their features in a column, and the values are in a cell, these values like 1.66 or male or no. So this is called a tidy format or rectangular data, where all observations are in a row, all features or variables are in a column, and all cells such contain some value. And why we need this tidy format? Because if it is unstructured data, like if you go to Wikipedia and if I ask you to list all the ages of, say, actor and actress, what you will do? You will go to Wikipedia page, then you will skim through the text, and then you will see the age, then you will write to an Excel sheet, and that is an unstructured data you are trying to convert to a structured data. Actually, that is a very big problem, because every time if you have to convert to a structured data just to analyze it using a Python language, then it is very much difficult. That's why some researchers has put this concept of a tidy format, so that even if you are using it for research, if you are using for industry, that should be consistent across all the domain. If you are using bio, and if I'm using in mechanical department or civil department, doesn't mean that you use a different format and I will use a different format. It should be a consistent format so that we can do the data manipulation or extract some features. Okay. So for this lecture, we are going to use pandas. Pandas is a library. What is a library then? Library is a collection of functions that will do something. It collections of some attributes. Attributes mean it also holds some values and or data, and also it contains some data set, predefined data set. So the pandas is developed by McKinley. In 2008, he started building this library after getting frustrated with NumPy and other libraries, because before 2008, this pandas library or not existed actually. And that time, computational work is very, very much difficult, because you have to use the matrix or other difficult format where the data manipulation or extracting some features could have been very difficult actually. And he made the project public in 2009, and there is a good blog is available. You can in PPT you can click that link with Control-Shift, Control Enter. It will open that, and you can read why he has developed this. What is the frustration? How much was the frustration for him to use basic libraries before 2008? So he decided to build this pandas package. And when they ask what does this pandas do, his simple answer was that it enables people to analyze and work with data who are not expert computer scientists. So we are not computer scientists, so that we don't need that much expertise. We just want to analyze our data and get some results, so that we can publish some papers or do some computation and show our work. And this kind of data analysis is very much required for even BTP project, MTP project, and PhD projects. And after developing this Python library from 11 to 16, you can see how the trend has increased, the rise and popularity of pandas. In Stack Overflow, that is around for Stack Overflow survey questions. It is plotted using a bar plot. You can see this. Coming to the pandas, how pandas sees the data, because we know that Excel sheet contains row and columns and we put the variables there. But if I have to use Python, then I have to go for pandas. But how the pandas store the data? Because this concept is very much essential when you are going to use the pandas for data manipulation. So pandas has two specific data structure. McKinley has considered explicitly two data structures. One is called series and they're called data frame. So series is nothing but a column or a feature. Like for example, this column, take a total bill column. We can, if we take this column and put it column like this and name it as a series one, that is a stack of values or a column of the total bill, and this is called a series. Nothing else. It is called a series. And when you create a series in pandas, it will give a default index values, or it is also, you can remember it is like it is an address for each value. And similarly, if we take the column 2 like tip, okay, so what it will actually do, if we stack it in another column like this way, it is another series 2, and the values are this index or address values are also will be assigned by pandas by default as an integer value if you don't provide a separate index. And these are two series, one for total bill, another for tip, and these are called series. So series is a one-dimensional data structure that comprises of a key value pair. These are the key, these are the value, these are the key, these are value, or also it is called index in pandas or address. Specifically index. You just remember these are the index, these are the series values. And here another series. When you stack these two series together in column wise and with a unique or with a common index, like not separate index, we are stacking this series 1, series 2 parallelly column wise, and we are giving a common index. That is called a data frame. And when we rename this like series 1 to total name, total bill, and series 2 to tip, that will act as a same like this one. That is the concept behind that how pandas handles the data. So it is called data frame. This is called series, single column or feature, and when you stack those series together, it is called a data frame or two-dimensional data structure with two or more series with a common index. Okay. So now this is the concept that you first require before we can proceed with the pandas. So now we will move to the code editor, and I'm going to use the VS Code. And if you have downloaded, I have downloaded the folder day 417 here. Okay, day 417, and it contains the data sets that is already uploaded in the Google Drive. Okay, and session 11 and session 12. Okay, so for VS Code, just open the VS Code file, then open folder, and whatever the folder, wherever you have kept this folder, just, or you can select this folder, and like here day 417 for 2022, select folder, and it will open. I have already opened, so you can click this Explorer tab and it will show that I have Python workshop session, this PPT there, and session 11 introduction, session 12 which is 12 data frames. So I will start after 2 minutes. If you haven't copied the data set to your desktop and not able to open, just try and open that, and after 2 minutes I will start the session with this content. Okay. So 2 minutes, just download it from your Google Drive. That participants folder will be there. Yeah, and for day 4 folder, you can put it in any folder in desktop. I'm just saying you should keep it in desktop because everyone should do that. It would be consistent. You can also for VS Code, you can also keep that folder in any folder, and you can go and use the open folder and open that folder. Okay, and it will come like that in Explorer menu. And once it comes like that, just click that session 11 introduction. And your environment should have, you have installed the pandas also. Okay, if you haven't installed, then you can go to the Anaconda prompt, activate the environment, and then conda install pandas. I hope in first session everyone has installed the pandas. Please share the link. Okay, I've already shared. Okay, it is at the top. Let me share it again. Participants, share, copy. We will resume at 11:05. Okay. For 2 minutes, you will copy that folder. And if you are using Jupyter Notebook, you can also open that. If you are using VS Code, you can also open that. So that's why I'm asking you to keep it in desktop. Okay. So today's session, we will, after 11:05, we will start. Let everyone finish.
Just ask if anybody facing an issue because the mail link is not working properly.
Okay. Whether anyone facing any issue that the earlier mail we have sent, it was not working for some people. So I think another mail has been dropped by SAP.
That is not working WhatsApp.
And if it is not working, then in WhatsApp, we have forwarded the link, join through that.
Or join WhatsApp group, we'll forward again.
Or you can join the WhatsApp group, we will forward it again. The WhatsApp group link has been sent using, in email. I hope everyone has copied the folder and able to open that. And I will start. The content, first content will be how to create that column or series, then how to prepare a data frame. So from scratch, so that we know how pandas handle them. Then in next session, we will cover with a real world data set, the exploratory analysis or like basic analysis of the data. And for this session, we will cover pandas series, that the column formation, then data frame, how to stack those columns, then renaming columns, printing column names, adding a new column, resetting index, then dropping rows and columns, indexing and slicing data frame, like a particular subset if you want to take out, then changing or imputing data frame, how to input the values in the data frame. So first, let's import the pandas. Before you type any of the code, first you have to import the pandas. Okay, for not this one just for version, to see the version. Import the pandas, then print pandas with dot underscore underscore version underscore underscore. If you enter that, it will ask you the environment to select, then you select the data science environment. Okay, so it has been activated, and the pandas version is here 1.4.1, the latest one. And for next, to run the codes, we have to import two libraries.
Just wait. Many people are facing this for the same issue. Audio and screen not visible.
My screen is not visible.
Yeah, I just fixed it. They have to join through WhatsApp link.
Okay, we will just wait for 5 minutes because some participants are facing some issues due to the link, and we will resume after 5 minutes. Okay, so that everybody will join the session.
WhatsApp link. फिर से मेल करना कैसे होता है
So we will start the session, but we are sending again the mail to participants, such as those who are facing problem, like the display is not visible or my PPT screen is not visible actually. Okay, so those who are in this session, it is okay, and who are able to see. But those who are facing problem, you will get soon again a mail.
Okay. टाइप करके उनके लिए ऑडियो नहीं तो बोल के कोई फायदा नहीं है ये यहाँ पे लिखिए जिनको सुनाई दे रहा है वो ऐसे भी ठीक है नोटबुक में जो चल रहा था जो नोटबुक में नहीं जिसमें भी कंफर्टेबल है
Hello everyone, we are sending a fresh batch of emails to those participants who are facing some issues. Those who are getting my screen then it is okay to or stay with this session only. Okay, and I'm using VS Code. That doesn't mean it won't run in Jupyter Notebook. If you are using Jupyter Notebook, that is also okay. And I will proceed with VS Code because it is friendly and lightweight, and also Jupyter Notebook also lightweight. You can use that, but I will proceed with VS Code. You can also open that folder or download that folder. I have already shared the link, and you can use the Jupyter Notebook to open that folder and open the notebook and proceed with the session. We are just waiting because that time we sent the link that was not working for some participants. So as this lecture is very important, because if you don't get the foundation of pandas, then you are not able to in future not able to understand how to do a real world data or perform analysis on real world data. That's why we are just waiting until the Durgesh sir will send the a fresh mail. One set of mail has been already dispatched, and soon other participants also get. But those who are in session and able to watch my screen, it is okay. They don't have to switch. This problem happens because of technology. Sometimes we don't have internet in Lohit Hostel. Sometimes this link issues, and we have to go with everyone alone. So just bear with us for 1 or few minutes. We'll start the session. किलो हो गया
2-3 मिनट रुक जाओ, अभी गया है ना 2-3 मिनट। बहुत लोगों का ये इशू था, अब कोई रिस्पॉन्स करने वाला था नहीं।
आप ग्रुप ही बना के रखे हैं, ग्रुप में पोस्ट Okay. So we will resume the session, but those who have joined just now, so for them I will just quickly go through the slides again, and we will resume the session with the notebook. So for the session outline is introduction to pandas, and we are talking about the structured data, that for the data comes from sensor measurements, events, text, images or videos, and the data type specifically consists of numeric and categorical. The numeric are continuous and discrete, and categoricals are nominal and ordinal. So numeric data that takes any value in between the data that are expressed as a numerical scale, and it is two types actually, continuous and discrete. Continuous data can take any value in between, like for weight or for car speed, that could be 55.5 kilometer per hour, 100 kilometer per hour, like that. Discrete is those take only integer values, like the count number of students in a classroom, or number of students in this session right now. Then categorical data, it consists of few categories, limited categories, and it could be binary or ordinal. Binary means when the categorical data takes two values, like yes and no, or 0 or 1, failed or pass, like that, and it has no specific order. And ordinal data, also one type of categorical data that has an explicit ordering. Okay, I will show examples. A few examples of continuous data will be the amount of time. It could be year, month, then hour, minute, second, millisecond, like that. And like height of children, the weight of a truck, speed of a car, time to wake up, like that. And for discrete data, those takes only integer values. Those are only consist of especially counts, like number of students in a classroom, then number of languages an individual speaks, the number of 4s or 6s in a cricket game. And it can't take in between values, like you can't say that Sachin has scored 4.56s. It should be 4 or 5. Okay. And then the examples of categorical data, that could be a nominal and ordered. Nominal means it don't have any specific order, like sometimes we code as a gender, male or female. And like age group, sometimes also we code the age as less than 18 years, 18 to 45 years, 46 to 60, or greater than 60. And that has this explicit order because it is in increasing order. So it is an ordered variable, ordered categorical variable. Then hair color, educational level, ethnicity, blood group, that are all categorical data. And for rectangular data, for research work, we usually need a structured data format, that is also called rectangular data or tidy data format. And where whatever the measurement we take, like say we are measuring say coronavirus spread, and we are measuring for each country, year, the cases and population. All the features that we extracting for a country, that is called a variable, and that should be in a column wise. And all the rows that should contain a observation here, the same unit, like all the characteristics for a particular country. So observations are for different countries, and all the cells should contain a value. That is the property, that all features or columns or features or variables should be in column, all observations should be in rows, and all cells should contain a particular value. That is a tidy format or rectangular data format. And here is an example, like for a restaurant data, we have gathered whatever the group they are arriving to the restaurant. We noted down the total bill amount, tip, what is the sex, female or male, then smoker status, whether the person is smoker or not, what day they have arrived, whether they are arriving dinner time or for lunch, and the group size. And here we are measuring in row wise, we are measuring each group. So it are consistent across all the observation, they are group. Not like that it is a group observation and it is a country observation. It's not like that. All the groups that one by one arriving were stacking in a row, that is observation. And all the groups, it's a certain feature we are extracting, like total bill, take, tip, sex, smoke, day, time, size, they are in column. And all cell contain certain value. And that is useful for making it consistent across all industry level, research purposes, and everything. And it is developed by McKinney, and he has developed and released it in 2009. and the popularity has shoot exponentially. And pandas handle such as this the pandas that we are going to use that handles the data in two way, using two data structures, one called series, another called data frame. The series is nothing but a column. For here, if we take this column total bill and we'll stack here, name it as a series 1, and when you create a series in pandas, it will give a default index, ordered index, increasing order 0 1 2 3 4. It is like address for each value, like key and value pair. For dictionary, if you have taken the lecture last evening time, then last day's evening time, then you might have know that the dictionary take key and value pairs. It is like key, it is value, key, value, like address or index, value, index, value. If we take the tip column likewise and again stack it here, it is another series. And this column are known as series. When we stack these columns or series column wise and give a unique index or common index, this two-dimensional, this matrix is known as data frame. Okay, so we'll resume with our code editor. You can use the Jupyter Notebook in browser, or you can use the VS Code. Just go to this open folder. If you kept this downloaded folder in desktop, just select this folder, desktop folder, and click open or select folder. It will open. You have to click here. It will show the files. Okay, now we will start with the content.
This step is not required for Jupyter Notebook.
This steps is not required for Jupyter Notebook. In Jupyter Notebook, you can directly open the folder and take the files. Okay. So we'll start with today's content. That is first how the pandas see the data. Because if you know how pandas in background sees the data, then you will be able to do the perform some functionalities what it actually offers. So we'll start with pandas series, that is a column. So beforehand, I would like to check what pandas version I have. So import pandas, then with print function, because we want to print the version. So print, then pandas dot underscore version. If you run this, it will show that the version of the current pandas is 1.4.1. That is the latest version. Okay. Next, to run this Jupyter Notebook, we have to import two libraries. So first, import the NumPy, that is our data crunching library, that for scientific computing library, numerical Python. So you have to import it as a NP. So as NP means we are giving it a alias or nickname, because it is the industry standard. Nobody writes numpy dot something. They usually call it as a NP. Similarly, import the pandas as PD. And beforehand, you need to install that as libraries. We have already shown that in first lecture and second lecture that how to install using the conda. You have to activate the environment, then you type the conda install pandas or conda install NP if numpy is not available with you. And sometimes it will show the open Excel something error, and that dependency is missing. Then copy that dependency library name and again use the conda install that and install that over that. Okay. Then it will import the data, but it will require in next session. So we have already discussed the data types. And if you want to know the pandas documentation, the documentation is very beautiful. You don't have to remember anything. So I have already given the link in the Jupyter Notebook. If you click that link, it will open a browser tab, and it will show that pandas user guide, and everything you want. It is whatever the functions I will show, that is available. You don't have to remember. Okay, so everything is available, and that many things you can't read even in a 7 day or 10 days, because that much content it has. So you can search here. If I am showing something some function and functionality, then you can also search it here. It will show you here, and you can get the examples also. So let's start with the pandas series. The pandas series is a one-dimensional array-like object containing a sequence of values and associated with a label or index. Say we are creating a list called states that contain Assam, WB, Bihar, Maharashtra, and Punjab. Okay, and if you create that, we are saving it in states. Then to create a series, you have to call the PD. That is the PD. We are alias or given a nickname, the pandas PD. So PD dot series, because we want to create a series. Then what this series contains, it should contain some values. So you have to give in a list that this series should contain these 5 values: 20, 10, 13, 33, 44. And we have to define an index also, because I already showed in the PPT that it has also an index. If you don't give the index, if I don't give the index right now, what will happen? If I create that series and save in S1, and if I enter, okay, the PD is not loaded. Okay, let me first load that libraries. Then if you enter, it will show that the index are now 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It is the default index given by a default address given for each value, like 20, 10, 13, 33, 44. But we don't want this default value. We want this states to be as index. So we can also define here index equal to states. And if you press enter again, now you can see that these values are added as an index or address for each value. And now you will be curious that what would be the type of this, because these are integers. So we can use the type. And if you give the S1, where we have saved the series, and it will show that pandas core series. It is a series object. That means just nothing but in research, it is a column of values. Okay. And if you want to see the data type, what data type it contains, like it is an integer or float or something, because we have given integer, it should be integer. So if you use the s1.d type, it will print the data type that associated with this series, and it will show that it is data type is integer 64. Okay. Next thing, let's say we have this index or addresses, and based on this address, I want to print some value. I want to know what this WB address contains, what this Maharashtra address in this series has that value. So you can directly put the S1, that where we have saved the series, and inside that you can give the address or index. Like I want to know what is WB contains actually. If you print that, it will show that it contains 10. Okay, like here you can see the WB contains 10. And next, we can also give some conditional arguments, like we would like to check whether our series contains a value more than 10. We can type that S1 is greater than 10, and we are saving this into a variable and then printing the variable. If you directly type this, it will also work. If you give print this, that is also fine. So it will show that, okay, so S1, each component of the S1, that series 20, 10, 13, 33, and 44, made a comparison that whether it is greater than 10. So for this one, it is true. For Bihar, it is true. Maharashtra, it is true. And Punjab, it is true. But for WB, it is false. So when you use a conditional statement, it will give you a Boolean series like true, false, true, true, true. So false is for WB, where the value is 10, but not greater than 10. Okay. So if I pass this series, where we have saved in where._true, and if we want to know that which I want to retrieve those column where it is where the condition is true. Okay, so the true is for Assam, Bihar, Maharashtra, and Punjab. It will ignore the WB. To do that, what we have to do, we have saved this Boolean indexing, and what we'll do, that Boolean indexing we will add for selecting. So S1 within square bracket, we are given this conditional statement result that was saved in where true, and if we print that, it will print only Assam, Bihar, Maharashtra, and Punjab. It ignored where the condition was false, that is WB. So for a series or column, we can also use some conditional arguments, and we will identify what rows satisfied the conditional criteria, and based on that criteria, we can subset those observations. So it is same like this, where we have saved this in where this true. It is same like this, S1 and we are giving S1 greater than 10. It will print the same thing. Okay. Sometimes we have a large series. Here it contains only 5 series values. In executing first few statements, it's an error series. How it typing data type by default.
Okay, dynamic typecasting. It takes the dynamic typecasting, it automatically.
Okay, few questions are there. An error came. How it typing data type? You have to also give a snapshot for the error. Okay. Otherwise, we don't know what error you are getting. And in executing first few statements itself. what is the few statement? Please give a snapshot. What you are seeing, we are not able to see from here. So whatever the thing, first write your whether using Windows or other operating system, and whether you have installed the pandas, then write or give the snapshot that I have got this error. Okay, resolved. Okay. So next, because it is dynamically typed, so automatically it identify what data type it contains. The Python is dynamically typed actually. So you don't have to refer like see that don't have to initialize what should be the type. It automatically identifies based on the value. What it actually does in background, it parses through each values and see whether it is changing somewhere else. If it is consistent, then it automatically identify what will be the data type. And if you put some string here, it will show something like object. It will create the object or string where it convert to a string variable. Okay. So this automatically Python does it in background. And next, we have already covered the conditional thing. Let's say we have large number of series values like Assam, Bihar. You have listed all states here, and you would like to see whether Assam exists in S1, that in series, in index somewhere Assam exists. You can directly give this with that quotation Assam in S1. So what it will do, it will look for whether the Assam anywhere in this index value it is present. If it is present, it will give a true. So that means the Assam present in this series actually, the index value. We can also rename the index. Sometimes we require that when we are using multi-index. I will not cover multi-index because it is truly complicated for beginners. So you can also give index value names actually. For S, to give it a name like for S1 dot with dot notation index dot name equal to state. And if you print the S1 again, now you can see that the state, whatever the state name, now they have a name. The index has a name that state. Coming to the data frame, we now familiar with the series part, that how pandas creates the series, how to create a series in using pandas, and how the different like subsetting works. Now we will stack multiple series together and create a data frame. Okay, with a common index. So there are multiple ways. You can click that link for Geeks and Geeks link is there, where you will get multiple way of creating data frame. But what is the standard format I like the most? I will show that is the most easy, I guess. And another format is also for someone it would be easy, but for me I usually prefer this way. To create a data frame, so first you have to give the PD calling the pandas dot data frame, and inside the parenthesis, that is the outer parenthesis, you have to give a curly braces, a dictionary. You have to define a dictionary like that. If you PD data frame and with curly brace, and then first bracket, then curly braces. Inside the curly braces, first you have to define the column name, and that is the key for the dictionary. And then you have to, with a list, you have to give the values, what this column will contain. Like say here I have given location 1, location 1, location 2, location 2, location 3. Okay, so these values it should contain. Okay, for next column, say another, this is one series. This contains only string values. With comma, next I would like to add another column. So again, I am defining year and all the values of the year in a list. Okay. Likewise, you can stack all this, how many columns you want. Here I would like to define 3 columns, one for location, one series for location, one for year, one for count. That would be name of those columns, and these columns will contain these values that is defined in the list. And let's ignore this part right now and run this. It will stack the rows, stack the values or series like location 1, location 1, location 2, location 2, location 3, then year, then count, and it contains a common index that is given by default by pandas actually. And let's say I don't want this index, I want my own index. So what we can do, the pd.dataframe also has argument where you can use a comma, you can define the index here. But instead of doing that, I'm defining we have already defined the data. So data dot index and giving a list of index, what could be? So we have five rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it is a Panda Python. It is a zero index base. So always remember count from 0, 1. It will always give index from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we also giving 5 indexes, so that for 0 it would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you set the index with data.index, and if you print the data, index is for quick retrieval. If you print that, now you can say the default index has been replaced with the current index that we would like to assign. Now, whether this is a data frame or not, that will be a question. How we'll check that? So use the type, and wherever the data frame you have saved within this variable data. So if I check the type, it will show that Panda score frame data frame. It is now a data frame. So once it is a data frame, you can also perform the data frame operations on that. Also, you can take out the each column and perform series wise operation over that. So I will show. So once you have a data frame, what the first thing you will do to check the shape, how many rows it contains? Because here I can observe that it has 5 rows and 3 columns, but it might have 1 million rows and 10,000 columns. For industry level works, that is very common. So how we will check the shape? So for checking the shape, you have to write wherever the data we have saved in data dot shape. What it will do, it will ask the pandas data frame, go to the pandas data frame and retrieve number of rows and columns. So it will return a tuple. It will says that it contains first one is before comma is rows and after comma is column. So it contains 5 rows, 3 columns. Okay. So sometimes you want to know how many, what are the column names exist. So you can do that using data dot columns. Okay, that are called also attribute that will we cover in lecture taken by Durgesh sir in Python classes. Methods and attribute will be covered there. So just for now, just you have to give this dot column attribute or dot column over after the data. And if you press enter, it will show that it is a column index. That's why it is presenting as an index. These are the row index and these are the actually column index. So location, year, and count data is object. Object is the special data type that is given for string. And when the mixed type of data or heterogeneous data is available in your say series or in a list actually. Okay, so it will present it as a object, because it are the string names. So this might not be useful, because if you need this column to somewhere else and you want to say run a for loop, or you want to change the columns, so you could also convert this instead of index. Sometimes we want this as a just list. So we can take the use the data dot columns, then to underscore list, this method or function. What this function will do, it will convert this index to a list. Location, year, count, and now we can iterate through this list or do some manipulation wherever you want. Because converting to a list to give you some advantages. So coming to the renaming part, sometimes we have large number of data columns, and we would like, after taking the data from someone else, I would like to you might like to customize it, the names based on your preference. Like the location column, it is in small letter L, Y is also with small, starting with small, but I want that to be capital. I don't prefer small letters in my variable names. So how we will rename the variables? To rename, there are 2 methods. Okay, first method, where that is wherever the column existed in your data set, even if it is a say your data set has 1000 columns and you want to change the 999 number column, it will automatically identify the column name and change that. So how we'll do that? Data dot rename, then you have to give the columns equal to, in a dictionary form, what is the old name? Old name is location, in a quotation, because we are giving it as a string, that is the key, and with colon, that is the value. Value is the new name, the capital location. Then year, count with capital C, count. Okay, so if I rename that and print the data, what happens? Can you just after seeing the output, please write in the chat why this happened. I have printed the data, still it contains small location, year and count. Anyone? Write in the chat why the name is still with small letters, not with capital letters with new name. Anyone? Because let's resolve this. Because we are just changing the name and trying to print the old data. Here it's changed the name, but we are printing the old data. We haven't override the data. The original data set contains the location. You can do that by either typing data equal to this. What will do? It will change the name and again override over the existing data. So the existing data, when you print the existing data, that will show capital L, capital Y, start with capital C. Another method it also offers that instead of overriding like this, that equal to, you can directly override this new name over the current data set with comma in place equal to true. I have already given in a comment in place, it supports in place. So this rename, if you are in VS Code, it will show the rename. You can say in place is there. In place, okay, you can set it to true or false. So if you set this in place equal to true, what will happen actually? It will now change the data within and override the existing data. Okay, so our original data, that data is over. It overrides that data. Someone will need to save the changes. Okay, that is true. So now we have changed the data. I can't show you the next. So I have to go back and again run the create the data frame because I have already modified the data. So I want that small with small. So I have again run the cell so that I get the data set with small initial name starts with small letters. So next thing is that we can also change using the data or column names with data.columns. What this actually gives, data.columns, it gives us name, and we can with equal to we can overwrite by the positional argument. Like first one is, we know that first one is location, small l, where it was small l, then small y, small c, count. Okay, if you want to see this data, you can again print it here, the small name. And we want to change the, we know the position because first one is location, next one is year, then count. So with data.columns, with a list, I'm giving so current there is a fluctuation in the electricity and the net is not available. We'll resume in 2 minutes. Just wait, okay? We'll resume in 2 minutes.
Water break 5 minutes.
Or take a water break 5 minutes. Okay, we'll resume after 5 minutes until the internet resumes. 11:52. We will start at 12. Okay. वो ठीक ही है
body plan or the like conjoint. So
Now I will we will resume the session. And please, tab member, please look one issue that my chat is disabled somehow. I don't know.
Enable the chat for everyone, or it's circulate.
Or please resume the chat for everyone. It's showing you can't send message because you are not a member of the chat. Oh, chat डिसेबल करके रखा है
अभी तक नहीं किया
नहीं
म्यूट कर एक बार मैं कॉल करता हूँ
Okay, am I audible right now? Please. Now chat is disabled. It will be enabled soon. Can anyone post in the WhatsApp group whether I'm audible or not? And my code screen is also visible or not? WhatsApp वाला open करके देखिए. Yes. Okay. Then I will resume the session. And earlier we saw that we can rename the data set with dot rename with old name given as a key value pair in a dictionary, old name, new name, old name, new name. And we also use the in place true so that it will override the data. The same thing can be done with data.columns. Actually, what it provides us, it will give us a list of column names. And we are overriding the column names with a given list names. Like in a list, you have to give a name like location, year, and count. And if you press or run this cell, it will show because it has overridden the data column names, location, year, and count. But can anyone post in the WhatsApp group right now? Chat one is disabled. It will be enabled.
It
That
is enabled. It is enabled that.
but for me, it is not enabled.
So you just again go to the chat and open it. People are posting.
Okay, now it is enabled. Can anyone post that what is the difference between these two, like dot rename and dot columns with a given list name? Anyone? What will be the difference between these two? Why I would use this one, or when I will use this one, and when I will use this one? What would be the advantage and what would be the disadvantage? Yes, we have to remember the sequence, because if you have 1,000 columns and if you want to rename the 999 column, say contains this location name, and you want to change that, this way if you go, it will automatically look for the unique name location and it will replace at the 999 number column. But for this way, you have to remember the sequence. This is a small data set. That's why I use So I have shown this method also. But if it is a 9, it contains 1000 column and you want to change the 999 number column, then you have to type up to 998 number column in a correct sequence. One thing goes wrong and if all columns name will be different. It is useful only for smaller data sets, and this is useful when you have large data set with large number columns. Okay. The next thing is already we have shown that we can print the columns and also we can change it to a list. Okay. There is another way we can change the list. I think it has not been covered extensively, but it will covered in the last session by Durgesh sir. It is called a list comprehension. So before how this list comprehension works, let's use a for loop to make a list of this, because it is in an index, the columns names. We can initialize a empty list, that is a column list. Then we can use a for loop for column in data.columns. Data.columns hold this thing, index. And it will iterate through all column names. And then what we'll do, you take our empty column, empty list and append the column names, that is column. And if you print the column list, it will give a list. So it is using for loop, it could have been very difficult. But if your column if you do it with other things, like not just with column, you can also use a list comprehension. A list comprehension is just a how would I say, just a loop inside a list that returns as a list. Okay. So in list comprehension, how we will do? So we want a list. So this is a square bracket list. Then we would like to run a for loop for column. So our temporary variable is column in data.columns. So it will iterate through all the column names. And then what we would like to return the column names with comma. It automatically put comma. And if you press Control Enter, it will show the same thing. Okay, with a list comprehension, you can also get the column names in a list. And next thing is adding a new column. Let's say I want to add a column to our data set. The data set, what it look like right now. Let's take a look of that. Data, enter, and this is our data set. I'm not showing you the other function like head, tail, that will be covered in the next session. And this session is just to understand how the pandas sees the data, how the series and how the data frames looks like, how to manipulate small parts like renaming, adding columns like this, changing column names. So let's say I want to add a new column. How would I do that? To add a new column, you have to use the data name where you have stored. Then with square bracket, you have to give the new column name. So the column name is new column. And if you add 16 and not give a list of these numbers or give a series, okay, what it will does, it will replicate or it will extend the same value over the all rows. Okay, so let's see how it look like. Now it created a new column, but it has replicated all this 16 value over the all rows. Okay, all observations. So next thing, we could also use a series where we would like to specifically specify the values for each observation. Okay, or for this column. So let's say we want to override this new column. So again, data.column, it will override the existing column. And with pd.series, I want to give 3 values, not 5. Okay, let's say I want to give 1, 2, and 4. But where I want to add those things, I can give an index value or address. Based on this address, it will add the values in this column. Okay, so I would like to add this 1, where the address or index is 1 here. Corresponding here, it will replace. Then 3 is here. So based on that, here it will replace. And 4 here. So 2, 0 and 2 are missing. So what will pandas do? It will make it as a missing data. So if I add this, now it is showing that it is a NaN, not a number. Like for 0 and 2 index, the values are not available. So automatically it put NaN there. And wherever the index matched or address matched, it added the values like 1, 2, and 4. Why it converted to a float? Because NaN is whenever you add a NaN value in a column, it will try to convert it to float. I will discuss it in later, how this such a NaN values are handled by pandas. So next thing is trying to change the index. So we have an index like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you would like to print the index, you have to give data.index, and it will automatically retrieve the index values like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say I want to retrieve the this fourth, what is the index available in fourth position? Because it is Python, so it is 0 index base. So start 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. For 4, it is a index number 4. So for data dot index, and if in square bracket, if you give 4 positional argument, it will automatically fetch and print that it is 4. The index index name or index address is 4. Let's say I want to change that. I don't want here 4, I want 5. Can we do that? Anyone? Can we do that? Like we pass value to function yesterday. Okay. We have to remember the sequence in creative way to ho gaya. Simple and creative way to write a loop over list. Okay. So what will happen if I try to add 5 in place of 4 address or index? Anyone? So if we try to change the this index value 4, how we will do? Data index, then square bracket 4, and we are giving 5. But what will happen if we press enter? It is showing an error. Index does not support mutable operation. So that means index is immutable for each value. If you want to change each value, you can't do that. You have to change the index, you have to do it entirely. Reset, you have to reset the whole index. And that is sometimes useful when you want to share the data, because nobody will be able to manipulate it. And it would be also useful like whenever you say for when you are adding a sample number or sample ID for your say laboratory test, or during data extraction you have given an identifier to a particular sample or person, then it would be very useful. And that is also been used when Durgesh sir will show the joining part of the data frames. Okay. So it does not support mutable operation in individual level, but you can set the reset it entirely. So I will show how to do that. So the resetting data set index part. So let's say I don't want to overwrite the existing data, so I will save the data in df1. So how I will reset the index? Data dot reset index method or function, and we are saving it in df1. I don't want to overwrite the existing data, that's why I'm not saving in data. I'm creating a new variable df1 and printing that one. Now you can see that what happened actually. Earlier we have the index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that index are become a column named index, and the existing indexes are reset by the pandas has reset that index and given a integer increasing order. So it reset the index and given the default one, but it also created a column with the earlier index. But sometimes we don't want that. Okay. Sometimes we want that when we want to we have some index values and we want to convert it to a column. But sometimes we don't want this index. So what we'll do? We'll do that. Just provide the argument inside drop equal to true. That means we are asking pandas that while resetting the index values, please drop the existing whatever the index value was associated with the data. So again, data dot reset index drop true, and we are saving into df2. Now you can see the column is not there. Earlier it was there, and the index has been reset by the panda. Next thing, how to reset the column to a new name. Okay, or given a list, how can we reset that list as our index name? So we can also do that, like say for renaming the index like A, B, C, D, E in a list, data.index. And if you now print the data, it will show that the index has been revised with new names A, B, C, D, E. So coming to the dropping rows and columns part, someone has posted. Okay. Coming to the dropping rows and columns part. So sometimes we would like to drop some rows or remove some rows. Sometimes we want to drop some columns that is irrelevant or we don't want, or it is very much important when having a big data, like say 1 terabyte data set or say 1 GB data set, and dropping those columns might reduce your data size. And depending upon your test, whether you want to keep that or you want to remove. So let's first go with the index. You can also go to those links after this class or lecture and can visit the documentation. So first, let's say I want to drop the index D row. So based on this index, it will drop entire row. Okay, so how to do that? Data.drop, then with index name D, and axis is index. We want that across the index it will delete, not across the column. So it will look for D and it will delete entire row. And we are saving it in df3, and if we run that, now we can see that A, B, C, E, D is not there. It is missing. If you want to drop more than 2 index, then you have to give it as a list. Like I would like to drop from here again A and D. D is also already been dropped. So let's assume that I want to drop A and C. Axis index. So now the data contains removed A and C. So B, D, E. Similar way, if you want to delete some columns, just instead of axis index, you have to change that axis equal to columns and give the list or a single name of the column or as a list. Like I would like to drop the year and new column in this year and new column. I want to keep only location and count. How would I do that? Data.drop, then in a list year and new column, the column names, and axis equal to column. I would like to delete column wise. That means it also sometimes support, sometimes also people use the shortcut instead of axis index. You can also use just axis 0. It will do the same trick. And here axis 1 instead of a column. But for those who are doing data analytics, they don't refer the computer science. They are not from computer science background. So when it was developed, that was developed by a computer scientist and group of computer scientists. Those who are working with data set, they get frustrated and develop the pandas actually. And later it was popular for data analytics. So that way the people are more referring the index names and columns instead of 0 or 1. That is also work. Let's drop the columns, and now we have just location and column. Okay. Now data frame row and column selection and selecting data subset. Sometimes you have a big data, you want to select particular value, or you want to select particular row and column, you want to do computation over that. You can do that. And for that, I will not show the basic version. I will show the dot log and dot ilog. That would be enough to do any kind of selection or subsetting of data. Data subsetting nothing but selecting the data or particular row, particular column, and based on that selection you can also alter or manipulate or impute the data or change the data. Okay, so the pandas support to
similar to slicing of the list or accessing the list.
It is similar to slicing or accessing the list or slicing or striding the NumPy array you have already seen yesterday. Okay. So for data, it supports data.lock. Lock is a indexer actually. Those index that has the data and or subset the data, and that supports the lock takes 2 things. One is row names, that is our index names, and column names. And another is ilog. I means index based, where you have to not give the names of the like name of the index or column, but you have to give the index positions. Okay, like whether it is in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or whether it is 0, 1, like that. So let's create a data frame. I will not show how to create a data frame, just I will print. And this data frame contains 4 city names.
Create a data frame.
Okay. Someone has posted. Okay. So let's create. Let's again remind you how to create the data frame. So pd.dataFrame within parentheses. Okay. Then you have to within parentheses you have to define a dictionary. Inside the dictionary, first the key should be the column, and with colon then you have to give the values that column should contain. Like the one column will contain 0, 4, 8, 12. I have printed already here 0, 4, 8, 12. Then 2 column 1, 5, 9, 13, 1, 5, 9, 13. That way actually Excel also represents row and column. And I am also resetting the index. Instead of default index, I want it should be a Guwahati, Malda, Patna, and Delhi. Okay. So if you print or run that code, it will show that index are this, the column names are this, and this contains these values. So first I will show how to select a particular observation based on the index name and column name. Let's say I would
ask from them you want to select this. Okay.
let's you want to select this 0. How will do that? Anyone in the comment or chat box? What I have to provide in lock inside the first before the comma, it represents the index names, and after the comma the column names. Say I would like to select the 0, then how I will do that? Anyone? I will wait for 10 seconds. If anyone has any suggestion, then you can type in the chat box.
You explain this and ask for 10.
Okay. So let's say I want to know what is the value associated with index Guwahati and column 1. So how will do that? The log operator always takes the names, okay, not index. So how will do that? Let me go for the data dot log. I would like to inquire the data based on the name of the index and column of the index name, okay, not based on the index values. So this is the square bracket. Then first with comma, before comma you have to give the row names or the address or index, and after the comma you have to give the column name. Okay, so first I would like to know the what is Guwahati count row, that is corresponding this index, and corresponding this one column contains. So the column is 1. If I print that, it will show it contains 0. Let's say I want to select the 5. What I have to replace here? Anyone in the chat box? Okay, someone has pasted Guwahati and 1. Okay, so if I want to select this 5, what I have to paste in instead of Guwahati and 1? Malda and 2. Yes.
String, he is missing the string.
It should be in string actually. Okay, don't miss that it has quotation.
Add a cell and so on.
Okay, if you just type like this data dot log and say Guwahati comma 1, then it will throw error. Okay, Guwahati is not defined because it is in index, it is a text, it is a string actually. To give it as a string, you have to also give the quotation mark for the index name and column name. Okay, so for 5 value we have to type first the row index, that is Malda, and for column index 2. So let's replace it.
No, add a cell.
Huh?
Add a cell. Add a cell without replace. Add a cell.
Okay, let's do it here. Data dot log, then with index. First I need to go for the Malda, MALDAH, and then with comma I have to give the column name. The column name is 2 TWO, and if you press enter, it will give 5. And next is that is
square bracket, not the not square bracket. It is a big bracket.
it also calls square.
You take that before the function. It is not a function.
Sometimes it is also called square bracket, third bracket, also big bracket. So
this bracket, the function bracket, it is not.
It is not a function bracket, not parenthesis. Okay, it's not like this. It should be this. Okay, inside that you have to give that. And let's go for, this is for name based, where we know the names, and let's go for the index based. So I would like to select again the 5. What would be the row index and what would be the column index? Python is 0 based, just remember. Anyone in the comment? So next thing, I will just create a cell and type data.ilog. It is index based. So before comma, I have to give the row index. I have to give the column index. I would like to select the 5 value. I want to print. I want to know that Malda and 2 contains what. How will what I have to type here as the index value? Anyone? 1 1. Okay. So 0 1, row ID is 1, and 0, 1. Column ID is also 1 or index is 1. So it's okay. So again 1, comma 1 and press enter, it will show 5. Okay. So that way it will, for lock you have to give the exact names. For iLock you have to give the index. Let's say I want to select two things, like I would like to know that Malda and Delhi and 1 and 3, what it contains, what values it contains. So for multiple values, you have to give the values using a list order. Okay, like this. Data dot, first use the location based. Let's go for the location based. First I would like to select for so for row I would like to select say Guwahati, and then for Delhi, and for column I would like to select in a list say 1 and say 3. So 0, 12 to 14. Guwahati, Delhi 1, 3. Guwahati, Delhi 0, 12, then 2, 14. Okay, 0, 12 to 14. Let's again print the data set so that we can able to see it here. And let's I would like to do the same thing. I would like to select the Guwahati, Delhi and 1 and 3 using iLock. So I will remove this one. How would I have how should I write it here? Now I'm using iLock, so it should be index based, not name. What would be the placeholder here? What I have to give in lists, because two values, so I have to input as a list. What should be? I would like to select Guwahati, Delhi 1 and 3. Anyone? So Guwahati is 0 index, so it is index 0. Then 1, 2, 3. So comma 3, and for 1 column it is a 0. Then 1, 2. 0, comma 2. 0, 12 to 14. Same way. Okay.
Now striding with the help of striding, like with the gap of.
गैप इसमें सपोर्ट करता है?
हाँ. Try what is this?
करके देखा नहीं है कभी, ट्राई करके देख लेते हैं.
Not like this, 0 column like this.
Okay, striding is there. Okay, that is there. I will show. So now coming to the striding part, where we will slice and select a continuous part. Like let's print the data. So let's say I would like to select from Guwahati to Patna.
Alternate way.
And right now for continuous, like Guwahati to Patna. Okay. And say 2 to 4. Okay. So how would I have to give that? If I using the lock, that is our index name base, then I have to type Guwahati with colon up to Patna and 2 up to 4. And if you press Control Enter or run that, it will show that for 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and 9, 10, 11. Guwahati to Patna and 2 to 4. For index based, it should be Guwahati to Patna. That means when you go for index based iLock or you are using the slice, it should be n-1 from start to end -1. That means whatever the end value we are giving 3, it will select only up to 2. Okay, last one is ignored or excluded. So if I have to select up to Patna, then I have to give the index up to Delhi. 0 from 0 start, then 1, 2, 3. Up to 3 if I give, then it will select up to 2. So that's why I'm giving here 0 to 3. Again, I have to select from 1 to 4. So 0, 1 from where here I will start, but 2, 3, 4. 4 don't exist, but I have to give that because it will exclude that and select up to 4. So it will select the same thing 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. And also that would I show you right now, but it will make it a little bit complex. So I will show it later during the actual data sets. So identifying the location. Sometimes I have large number of rows or large number of say index values. And I would like to know the index location, where the Malda exists, where the Patna exists in the index value or in the column value. Okay, column names. So let's say I would like to know that where the Malda exists in our data set. So we could do that data.index.get lock, get the location. Okay, and inside that, yeah, I'm giving the Malda. So if I print that, it will show that it exists in 1 after Guwahati Malda 1, 0 and 1. Let's say I would like to know where the column 3 present. So for columns, instead of index, I have to just replace it with columns, data.columns.get location and 3. So 3 existed in 0, 1, 2 in 2 locations. So if you print that, it will show that it present in 2. Sometimes if you want to know, you can do this, do like this and get the index values. If you are using iLock, it could be sometimes difficult because the data set could be very large. Now coming to the part of changing or imputing data. I have a data set, but I would like to change some values. Maybe I would like to, by mistake, I made a mistake and input a wrong value. I would like to change that. You can also do that. So let's print the data, that our data. Let's say I would like to change that this 9 value in the change 9 value to 10 in row 2, 0, 1, 2. This row 2, 9 value, I would like to change it to 10. Okay, and column 1. It is row 2 and column 1, 0, 1. So I would like to change this 9 value to 10. How would I do that? Same. So just if I comment it out and show that first how I would select that you have to query. So data.log, and inside that you have to give first row, and that is row index name Patna, and after that column index, that is 2. Okay, and if I print that, it will show that it contains 9. Now if I have to override that with equal to, I have to give 10. And if I print the data again, now it shows it is 10. Okay, so just if you able to select that, you can also change it using this procedure. Let's say I would like to change the data, say from Malda to Delhi and from 3 to 4. That means this value 10, 11, 14, 15 to 11. So how we'll do that? Using lock, we can use the, as we are continuously selecting Malda to Delhi, I can use directly Malda with colon, that is slicing up to Delhi, that Malda to Delhi, and it is location based. That's why we are giving index based, index name based lock. So that's why we are giving name after comma with list, that I would like to select 2 columns, 3 and 4. And if I just comment it out and just print, what it will show, that it will show that Malda to Delhi and 3 and 4 has been selected. Now I would like to replace it just equal to 11, and if I print the data again, now you can see that it has replaced 11, 11, 11, 11 in all those selected zone. Similarly with iLock, we could also change this. So how we will do this? Actually, let's say I would like to change this 13 using iLock. So I would like to know the position of this Delhi. Delhi position is 0, 1, 2, 3. So inside iLock 3, and for 13 the column position is 0, 1. So 0, 1. It will select that value, that is 13. We are replacing with 14, and if I press Ctrl Enter, it will change it to 14. So this way you can, this is the basic introduction, and in next session we will cover how to do it with the data set. And that way actually the Panda sees the data, and you can take out something or change the names, change the values, add additional column. That way you can do that. In the next session we will cover how to take a real data set, where we will take the real tips data set and step by step analyze and do all this computing, all these things over that. Okay, so next session
5 minutes
after 5 minutes we will resume with the next session, and that would be literally extensive because it is,
we will wrap up by 1:30.
we will try to wrap up by 1:30. If it is not able, we will not able to cover, then we will start the session for after 3. Okay, with the same session. So now we will take 5-minute break and we will resume at say 12:42 or 12:45. 12:45. Type कर दीजिए. Okay, let's resume this session. I hope you have downloaded the files and kept in the desired folder.
ये बोल के 1 मिनट दो.
And if you haven't copied, we have already pasted the link. Download the files and keep in that folder. In VS Code, it will show like this, that we have selected the external folder dev417042022 that is existing in the desktop. And it also contains the folder datasets. That also contains the datasets.
You can also go with ahead with the Jupyter notebook.
You can also go with the Jupyter notebook. There is no issue. I'll start in 1 minute. Just if you haven't downloaded, just download the data and open this in Jupyter Notebook or VS Code, whatever you are running. And
We will not close the session today. We will keep it running. We will tell to stop recording after 1:30. We will keep it running. Let's start.
so let's resume this session. So the content of this session will be to import a real world data called tips and checking the data type, then selecting the columns based on data types, changing data types, then unique and ununique, two functions are there, creating a new column, filtering and subsetting data, then also filtering using isin, different ways of column selection, missing data, how to identify the missing data, then discretizing or binning a numeric data, like sometimes we will bin the data, numeric data into a categorical data, pandas group by n largest n smallest, then apply function, some apply function like map, apply map and pipe. So first, what we have to do, we have to import the NumPy and pandas library. Same we have already discussed in the last session. Import NumPy as NP, NP and PD are the alias, and import pandas as PD. So once you import those libraries, it will start the activate the kernel or data science environment. It will load a tick here in VS Code. It will show a tick. That means it already ran. Now going to the data set, the data set source is here if you would like to see, but the data set contains that we are going to use is known as tips data set. It is a for a restaurant, how much different observations has been taken, like the data contains 244 observation and 7 variables, excluding the index. The variable description are as follows, like bill means total bill in dollar, including tax in US dollar. Tip means tip given by a waitress or waiter. And sex means here the male and female, only 2 categories. Then smoker, presence of smoker, like whether the group who has arrived for the dinner or lunch, whether there are any smoker presence, yes or no. That is a categorical binary data. That is a categorical binary data, nominal case. And then weekday data of day of the week, like Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday. 4 days might this restaurant only open on these days only. Time of the day, whether dinner or lunch. Then size, the size of the party. Here size is a discrete data because it should be a whole number like 2, 4, 5, 6. So let's remove this. So how to read the data? First, you have to use the we already discussed this in last day, using the pandas pd dot read underscore csv. That files I have provided in the dataset folder. It contains the tips dataset dot csv with dot csv extension. That means a comma separated value. It could be Excel. If it is Excel, then you have to type read underscore Excel, and you have to also give the extension dot xlsx. So here pd dot read underscore csv. Then where it is existed? Currently I'm in directory of day 41704, but I have to access the data from inside that subdirectory is there, data sets. And so I'm in Windows, so I'm giving the data sets /tips.csv. So it will read the data set and store in the tips. And if I would like to print, clear the output, I would like to clear the output. So I will show how it shows. So it will read the data. Then after reading, we can directly apply the head function that will print the first five observations. Okay, so it read the data. If you are not able to load this data set like this, the cbound package also contains this data set. So you could also import the cbound as SNS if you have installed only. Okay, if you have installed, it also comes up with this data preloaded. So with we are importing SNS as cbound as SNS, then SNS.load_dataset, and inside you have to give tips. It will save the data in tips, and same way if I print that, it will go to the internet, to the server, and from cbounds wherever it is loaded, from there it will retrieve. Same. Okay. So I'm not going to use, but I'm showing how to load from local machine, your local storage, from your C drive, V drive, wherever you have kept that data. So this way we will load the data. Now the data has, you can see that all the columns, and also pandas has given a index. It's not just 5 observation, it has all the observation. If I remove the head, it will print. ... means it is continued, because it won't print that much. You can reset that also. So we are using head, and in head you can also give, like, I want to print first top 3. So it will print first top 3. You can also give the value here. By default it's 5. You can also read the help. How would I know that read the _CSV exists? You can go to the pandas documentation and search there, read _CSV. Okay, and help also to provide you full detail that read _CSV function contains this arguments. Even it contains skip rows. Sometimes in Excel sheet, you first few rows we usually put like header name or dataset name, and that sometimes messed up during loading. So that way you can also provide this argument skip rows, so that it will skip those first or 2 rows, then only it will read the data. That is also possible. Okay, so the pandas help contains everything. If you want to look what this file here, the file path, or say separator, what that means. Separator means the default is comma. That is our this tips.csv contains comma separated values. Okay, the first one is a header or name of the columns, or second one is corresponding values. Okay, so you can directly, by default we are using read _CSV. That means it automatically knows that we are reading a .csv file or comma separated value. You don't have to provide the like separator argument, separated with comma. It could be a text file with, say, tab separated, space separated, anything with colon separated. You can specify here, like if it is colon separated, it will read like that. Okay, so our is CSV. It automatically knows that we are giving a CSV file, and it automatically print the first 3 observation. Next, check the data types. Whenever you load a data that you have or you have got from someone, then you have to first check the data types. Based on the data types, you know that whether the variable is numeric or categorical. If it is categorical, you can't do a computation like computing mean, median, mode, or like this. And if it is a numeric data, you can perform computations. So with type.tips, it is first showing that we are just showing that it is a data frame, whatever we have loaded. So it is a data frame. And if I take a particular column, say tip, okay, there are 2 ways we can select this. Okay, we have already shown the lock and ilock way, like this way, like if I give the type, okay, and then data tips dot lock all the rows and just column tip. Okay, showed that it is a series, because each column is a series. We already shown you that the series are stacked in vertical order and makes a data frame with common index. So again, we can also do that. Instead of using lock or ilock, you can also directly use the tips.day. That will automatically take out the day column, and we can also check the type, it is series. And when it is applicable, this dot format, when your column names has no space, if it has a space, tips values, then only this way it will work. You can't use this dot notation. Okay, so dot notation is for just when you are exploring data, want to do it fast that way, then you have to create your columns, all column names also same way without spaces. You can put a underscore here, tips values, when we are creating the columns, you are preparing the data set. Next is data types. So what type of data this data set contains? Because we are saved in a Excel file or say CSV file here, it won't preserve whoever created the data. It won't preserve the data types. So whatever now it has loaded, it will show the data types. So tips.d types, it will print all the column name and their corresponding data type. Like the total base is float 64, tip is float 64, and the pandas, whenever it finds a mixed data type or a string, it will call it as an object. It is a special data type for pandas data frames. Okay, so sex contains such a male, female, smoker, yes, no. So it are the object. Time is also a day name and time name, like dinner, or it is also a object. And size is integer 64. I already told it is a whole number. So whenever we would like, we load a data, we would like to define statistics of the data. Okay, so how we'll do that? Tips.info, and memory usage, I'm giving a dip. Let's don't give this right now, and print the info. Info shows the basic characteristics or basic information of the data. Like it is a data frame. It contains 244 observations, 0 to 243, and it contains 7 columns. All the columns having non-null values. Non-null means not a empty value or not a missing value. All observations are there. 244 total entry. All the columns contain 244 observations. Okay. 244, 244, 244. That is a not null. And here they are data types. And you can see that the memory usage is 13.5 plus such a kilobyte. If it is a very big data, 1 GB data or say 500 MB size file, it will
म्यूट किए हुए हैं क्या? एक कॉल कर रहा हूँ।
म्यूट कर देता हूँ। There is a power interruption in the electricity supply, and that causing interruption to the internet. So we will resume in 2 minutes. Just wait. Whether I'm audible, I'm using a mobile internet. If it is okay, then I will proceed. Otherwise, I will wait 3 to 4 minutes because it will take to resume the internet at least 4 minutes. And my screen is visible, like I'm floating around in the screen. Is it the frames are visible? Okay. Then I will resume. Okay. Okay. For tips dataset, we would like to know the basic information that dataset contains. We will use the type dot tips dot then info function, and it will show us this data or this information. Like it contains 244 entries, 7 columns. Entries means observations. Then all the column and their number of non-null. Non-null means not a empty value. Screen again not showing. Okay, let me reshare it.
Reshare.
Is it visible right now? Sharing my screen, but it is with mobile internet. I'll have to wait 3 to 4 minutes. Then I will resume to the IIT internet. Is it visible right now? Anyone? No. Then we have to wait until the IIT internet resumes. It will take 4 to 5 minutes. Okay, we will wait then for 5 minutes. Yesterday there was no interruption. Today there are multiple interruptions. So Durgesh Bhaiya was lucky. Don't worry, we will cover. It might go a little bit.
No, we'll stop at 1:30.
We'll stop at 1:30 and we'll resume at 3. But if the internet resumes, we'll cover some part of it.
Otherwise, if it doesn't come, we'll give break in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it is visible now, but still many participants will not able to see because it is mobile internet and it will take, and here the internet connection is not that good at all. Just wait, I will soon resume in 3-4 minutes. So am I audible and my screen is visible? Right now the internet has resumed. Please type in the chat comment whether you are able to hear me and whether the screen is visible or not. Okay, yes. So I will resume here. So the tips.info, I have already talked about it, that it contains different observation number, columns, then how many are non-null. Non-null means not a empty cell or not a empty value or real values that contains the particular column or particular series, and what is the data type. And whatever the string or mixed data type, whenever a column contains that, Python or Pandas such turns into a object. Object is special type of data type actually. Okay. So you can also ask this pandas to describe the data, like you would like to see some simple statistics. When you do that, let's don't add this, and tips.describe will give you some basic statistics of the data, like what is the count of the data, mean, standard deviation, minimum, 25th percentile. That means below which value, below that value 25% observations are there, and below above that value 75% observations are there. Similarly 50th percentile, same as median. Okay, and 75 percentile max value, like mean here, max is there for each column, for numerical column. Okay, it ignoring the columns like sex, smokes, day, time, because they are objects, they are not numeric, so we can't perform computation on that. So next, let's say I would like to see whatever the object columns I have, what are the characteristics of that. The describe function also consists argument like include, where we are specifically specifying that it should include objects. Okay, and sometimes we for earlier one, sometimes this representation is not that good. You can also transpose .t will do the trick, and now it is very easy to read, like total bill, tip, size, and the different statistics. And for object data types, these are for numeric and object data type. You have to include the include equal to object, and we are also transposing it. So control enter. Now you can see that the rows, this index contain the column names, and the columns contains the different statistics. As they are categorical data, so that will give the count. Unique values it contains, like sex contains 2 value, male and female. Day contains 4 days, unique days, and time, dinner or lunch, then smoker, yes, no. And top, that is a mode. Actually this one is mode, frequency, and what observation it contains most. Actually the observation 24 out of total 244 observation, majority of the consist are male. Then it contains the smoker contains no, day contains Saturday, and like dinner. And this is the mode, like most frequently observed, that is 157 observation of male, and 151 for no, 87 for Saturday, and 176 for dinner. Okay, next we will cover the column selection based on till now anyone has any doubt, they can post. Otherwise I will proceed with the column selection. We have already seen the column selection, but here it little bit different. I will wait for 5 seconds. If there is no comment, I will proceed. Okay, then I will proceed. Let's say we have we want to select, when we have a data set, there might be large number of columns with different data types. Say you have 1000 columns, but you want to perform computation. Say you want to calculate the correlation matrix. Sometimes in research we will do that, how one variable related to other variable, and that for that we need numerical data. And from data set, identifying each numerical data and then retrieving the data with or columns that are numeric, it would be very tiresome or very exhausting actually. Then we can do that. The pandas also has a method called select data types. So for the tips, we are giving dot select data types, and we are giving number, that means numeric, and just I will comment that part. And what it will does, it will stack all the columns that are numeric. Now we can directly compute the correlation The pandas also offer correlation. I will show later. So this way we can directly identify what are the numeric data, and we can ask for, say, we would like to describe the data, some statistics, and transpose it. So it will show that total bill, tips, and size, and different statistics. Okay. Similarly, for object type, we can also do that. Select data types objects, describe, then dot describe function or method, and dot t transpose. Okay. So it automatically look for what are the data types or object type, or what are the series or column or object type. Then they are count the different statistics for categorical data like count, n unique or unique, then top and frequently or mode. Changing data type using as type. Sometimes we need to change the data type. Let's say you have a data that can, after reading the data, you find that it is in float or decimal points. Okay, but it is not a decimal. By mistake, it read like that, and you want to convert it to integer. It can be possible. Like for pandas, also support a special data type called category, that for categorical data, and we can convert the particular data. Like say here, day. Day is a categorical data because it contains 4 unique observations, like Saturday, Sunday, like characters, and we would like to convert it to a category. So how we'll do that? Tips. Then we will select the. This way we can select or dot log, then with colon all observation, and with comma say day, and we will type as type over that column. From this data set we have selected the day column, and over that column we are applying a function called as type, convert it to category, and we are overriding on the existing data column day. Okay, so that way it can be also like this one. This is a special another method, but you will proceed with the lock. That will be useful. So what it will does, it will take the day column, convert it to category, and override the day column. And if you check the info right now you can see that it is a category. Okay, 244 observation, and it is a category. And when you convert this kind of, because the mapping system, how the data is stored, that has some implication on the memory size. Like earlier, that was a object, and the size was, when we have this, the size was 13.5. Now we have converted it to category, and now the size is 12 kilobyte. Same way we can convert all the object to categories. Like say for tips, within curly braces, parenthesis, tips. Over that we are applying as type. That time we have changed only one variable. Now what we will do? We will type as type, and with a dictionary we will provide the column name and the data type in which we would like to convert it. Like convert the data name sex, that is the key in the dictionary, and value is category. Convert it to category. Smoker category, day category, time category. Okay, and we will type tips.info. After converting this, we will also check the information that how the memory size, what is the memory size right now. And I'm using the memory usage equal to deep, because I know that if each column contains only character, sometimes it is not true. Sometimes it is heterogeneous data. Like for object, it could contain a string, a numeric value, or a true false like Boolean value. And that way, when we compute the actual memory of that data set, it will differ. When you don't type this one, that what it will do, it will convert it to a string and like compute the whole column such a memory. But when you give this deep, it will look for whether the object column contains a if it contains the string, then it will take the memory for string, and if it is called contains an integer, then it will check the memory for that integer value. So if you give the deep, then it will give the real statistics. Now the file size is 7.9. So converting to a data type in category, it reduces the data size. Why? Because category has a special type of mapping where it will use a hash table. I'll not go that, or it will have a mapping system where it will keep the what is the male and female, and it will, instead of characters in column, it will create a map of the index, whether it is a sex, male or female. So automatically it reduces the sizes here. Okay. So now okay. Can you explain the data types obtaining in the output? Okay, in the data type here, D type contains what type of data each column contains, or series. We already talked about that each column is a series, and we stack those columns together to make a data frame. And this showing these columns, these are the columns, and this is the data type. Whether it is like total bill, the total bill, if you print that, okay, let me print that data above. The tips dot head. Let's say 22. So the total bill has decimal place, so it is a float type, and so it is a float 64 represented with float 64. And we converted the tip, sex, smoker, day, and time. These are the categorical data with strings, so it treated as object, and we have converted it to category. Now it is showing the data type as category, and this size is an integer value, so it automatically shows that it is integer 64. It's just a representation of the data, how much the numerical value, length of value it should contains, up to 10 to the power 9, I guess, for or something, I forgot, but what is Virgesh bhai, I will type it that for 64-bit.
You will utilize 64-bit for representing.
Like if you had the story that the Gangnam Style movie, that song, when it was released, the YouTube forcibly converted their counter from integer 32-bit to integer 64-bit because the view counter stuck. So it is just a method of representing the values, number of values to represent, and how much it will contain. So integer 64, but you can convert to integer 8, integer 32-bit if the data requirement is not there. It will reduce the memory size. If you have large data, when you will work with TB data, then might be you have to convert to a lower size as integer values, because you might not require that many sequence of numbers. Okay, so now we have converted to category. If we would like to select using the select data types, now we can't give a object, it is now category, so you have to specify the category. I am describing it, and true. Okay, so sex, smoker, day, time, and same, that table is same. So next part, I hope till now everyone has understood what I am showing here. And next I will go for the n unique and unique. There are two functions that will be very much useful when you will instead of a info function, you will use this function to retrieve say for object or categorical variable the number of unique items in that. Like first let's go for the n unique. So can this n unique function can be applied to a data frame series objects. So how this, what happens if I apply that? Okay, so tips, select D types. I'm selecting the D types. We have converted to already category and object. If you not give this also, it is okay, but I'm giving, if something is object, it will automatically retrieve, and category, and applying this function n unique, it will stack all the unique values available in a column. Like in sex, it is a categorical, so unique values are 2, smoker 2, usually applicable for a categorical data type where repetitive observation is there, like male, female in sex, or day, different day names. And sex contains 2, smoker 2, unique observation, day, and time. And what about that is n unique? And what about unique? Unique is applicable usually on series. Series means column. So if I have to apply the C only for the sex, so how will do? Tips dot lock you can use with colon, separate all the observations, but only the column say sex, and dot unique. Automatically it gives suggestion, you can type, and if you enter, it will show the unique values, like it contains female and male. Those are unique values. Okay, and it is a categorical type. Categories female and male, 2 objects. Similarly for day, you can also check Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Thursday, and Friday. It contains 4 observations. Next thing I will that is very much important that we usually do while doing research. Let's say I have a column, the day column, but how many observations are Sunday, how many observations are Saturday? That count you might want to report. in a table, like for a research work, you want to know the statistics, that in day column, how many observations are Sunday, how many observations of Saturday, and how many observations Thursday and Friday are contains. To do that, you can directly, I'm not showing this method because we are using the dot log. So in dot log, okay, so tips dot log. So all observations, comma, column is, here we are using the column day. It is a categorical column right now. And we would like to know how many observation it contains or count for each category or unique category, like Sunday, how many Sundays are there in that data set. Like if we print the data set, dot head. Okay, so the day column, how many Sundays are there, because it is repetitive, because these are observations, and I would like to know that. And then I will add. So right now I have selected the day column, and I would like to know the value count. So value count, and if you press enter, it will show that Sunday contains 87 observations. Sunday contains 76, Thursday contains 62, Friday 19, and it is integer 64 also, and the name is day. Okay. So this way you could also
explain the second syntax which you have commented on.
Okay. Instead of log, Python also supports this dot notation for selecting a particular column name if the column name does not contain a space. Like day don't have space, we can also use the tip dot day. And that is a shortcut, like. But I always recommend this because just if you know the log, you can do anything. So tips day, then it's a value count. If I comment it out and run this one, it will give the same result. Okay. So it's just a method for shortcut method for selecting a particular column if the column does not contain a space.
A space in its name.
Space in its name, actually, not values. So next, let's say we would like to index some. Well, I have already shown the indexing, but here I will show the indexing, also called as filtering the data. So let's say I would like to know here while printing the frequency, we have got that sex contains majority are male and it is 157. But I am not convinced that whether it is giving a true result or false. So I could subset the data and check the shape of that data, because shape what actually gives, earlier we have in the top we have already showed that shape gives us the number of rows and columns. Okay,
first without shape, so this statement, and then
okay.
add the shape.
Okay, the shape info, somewhere I have showed that shape. So okay, no problem. Then so how we will select, say I would like to know that whether this giving the right result. Male is 157 frequency. So total male observation contains 157. How would I know that? I have to verify that. Okay, how would I verify that? So I have to subset the data. How would I subset the data? Again, tips dot log, then before comma row and after comma column. So if I would like to subset the data, I have to give a conditional statement like true, false. Select those rows where it is true, a particular condition. So how it will work? So tips dot sex. Let's say I would like to check equal to male or not. So it will give a Boolean indexing, a Boolean series. Like wherever in the data set the sex is male, it will show true, or else such false. And once we take this thing and put inside in place of rows in log, and we have to also give the colon that I would like to select all the columns. So the rows where this condition satisfied, that the sex is equal to male, and all after comma a colon, that means select from first to the last column. I don't want to explicitly a particular column, but select all. And if I print that, it will show all the observation as male. You can check with unique, but you have to first select a column. Say I would like to select the sex column, and then I would like to apply. If I print, it will give a column of the sex with series where all things are male, all observations are male. And let's say I would like to check the unique observation, it only contains male. And now I would like to see what is the number of or value count. So that male contains 15 and female is 0. That means it was true that whatever the info was showing us, where that was somewhere, this one, like sex male contains 157 observation out of 244. Okay, so next thing, we can also check the shape or use the value count. If we use the shape method, it will show that with that condition, if I use the log and here with comma, colon, and again print, that means that we are indexing or taking out or subsetting the data where all the observation in the sex column are male and checking the shape. That means 157 rows and 7 columns. So 157 observation contains the male. Okay.
Without using log also. So.
Without using log.
Just add a cell tips
okay.
and this thing tips.sex.
Which one?
Add a cell tips bracket not dot bracket condition tips dot sex equal to male.
That way it also works because I am showing a standard way.
It is also no, not dot.
It way this way also work. It is another standard notation. But I usually prefer the log version because it is easy to remember.
This version also.
ilog is also there. You can do that way also. But whenever I usually most prefer this one because it is standard, and you can also use the shape, and it will show 157.7. Same results. Okay.
Same time.
Same result.
We are done with the time.
We are done with.
Just summarize what we have learned in through index.
Okay. It is now 1:30. We will close. Before that, I will summarize what I have just shown here. Here we have shown how to read CSV data.
Go to top.
Then importing tips dataset, importing libraries, importing tips dataset, checking data types, column selection based on data types, changing data type, unique versus ununique. It is a data frame based or it is a series based. Creating a new column will come and filtering, subsetting. Some part of that I have shown, but I will show it in detail. Okay, we will resume at 3 o'clock.
Technical doubt.
And for technical doubt, you can post it in the team, and we will try to resolve it in the meantime.
Otherwise, they can leave.
Otherwise, you can close and join at 3 o'clock with the same link. Okay.
Those who have technical doubt, they can post and they can be in the chat.
Okay. Those who have technical doubt, they can post it in the chat section, and we will try to resolve it. Okay.